Greetings, programs! How is everyone this evening? I have felt weirdly off for most of the day. I think I started feeling a little bit better near the end of the day. I feel like that's almost how my Saturdays go. I spend my Saturday just recovering from the week. So Saturday stream-wise, this game is Replicube. I think it's been out for a little while. I haven't really paid attention to when it came out. So this game is effectively an introduction to programming. So we get to learn about programming today. This is another game that I'm probably only going to be showing off once. And then next week, I think we may dive into something just a smidge larger. So for those unaware, I actually went to college for programming. I have a bachelor's in computer science. And in my free time, I make video games. So I know my way around a program. That said, the language that this game is in is one I'm not actually familiar with. It may just be Lua or something, though. So when you when you boot this game up, it brings you right to this desktop with the big sticky note here that says, to do, check email. Now, I've already done some of this game, but I think we can look through that again. I'm gonna change settings, you can. I am actually playing this in full screen. I think it's gonna be easier to handle since it's kind of a pseudo desktop looking thing. You can change the music if you want to. Up here, that's the Repla OS theme is what's playing right now. So, check email. Now when you first start up, the only email you're going to have is this one. So we'll just go up as we go up. Hey there, Garcia. CubeNet admin. Welcome to Replicube. You're registering your Replicube terminal. Please find the attached tutorial projects to get you started. And then you can click on these and it will actually open up the Replicube program, which is Project Files Manager. Here. And then we start out with email attachments. All we would have right now is this one, the Replicube tutorial projects. And we would start at the top and work our way down. So the very basics. And then it actually starts up Replicube. So since this is the... You're not that late, Fred. Since we just started up, this one is actually done already. But we see your job is to write code to generate an object that matches the one in the upper right. Your code should return the color you want each voxel to be. You can use names, white, red, yellow, green, etc., or numbers, 1 through 16, for colors. See out below. Probably going to be referencing this down here quite a bit. Try modifying the code below to match the color in the reference. This one may actually be done already. It'd be nice if I could, like... There, now it's all yellow. So now it matches, and we can submit. I hope there's a way... I hope there's a way... I can uncheck, or I can, if I click check, it just takes us into it. Okay, so we're just going to go through the tutorials then to kind of get a feel for... Because I can't figure out a way to, like, erase my save game. So we're just going to go through the tutorial to kind of figure out where we're going and what stuff does. And then when we get to later ones I've already done, I guess I'll just erase the code and we can rewrite it. I remember you were trying to match that. Each time your code is run, 3 variables will be preset for you, identifying the location of the current voxel. These variables are x, y, and z, without quotes. You can use conditions to decide what value to return based on x, y, and z. So if y is greater than 0, then return dark blue. So 0, greater than 0. That's our green number there in the middle. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Else return 8. Which is orange. So we can also type orange. Oh, it has to be all caps. Okay, you can use many different conditions to compare numbers. Here's a quick list. If a equals equals means is equal to b. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And different programming languages always use different symbols for this one. Is not equal to. What I'm used to seeing here is an exclamation point. So this may take me a minute to realize that this means not equal to. It looks like it would mean like approximately equal to. So if y is greater than or equal to 2, so here we're up, then return red. So end, I think, means the end of the if statement. If this were like C++, this would be an open and close bracket, instead of then and end. If y is less than or equal to -2, so -2 right here, then return green and end that if conditional. And then if you didn't go into either of these two conditionals, we can just return yellow to get the middle, which is 9. You can uncheck on the left. You cannot. If I click on that, it just brings me in. Okay, returning 0, so our numbers here are 1 through 16. 0 will make the voxel into an empty space. So if x, that's going to be our first number, is greater than or equal to 0, so here, and z is greater than or equal to 0, which is our third number here, so that's here. So if them both, and that's this space here, return 0. So if you're in this space here, return 0. So just don't put anything there. And then remember, colors are just numbers. So this code will take the y coordinate, add 7, and then the result is the desired color for that row. This means that when y is equal to 1, just above center, the code color should be orange, because 7 plus 1 is 8. So this top conditional here returns 0. That conditional carves out this space. To get the rest of them, it effectively takes the current y value, which is -3, and says, well, we want y -3 to be 4. So that's just the current y value plus 7. I feel like that makes a little more sense. Because then when y is -2, we want it to be 5. And all of these just go up 1 each. So you can just take the current y value, add 7 to it, and that is where we aim. Okay, that one was explicit nothingness. Simple quadrant. Conditions can be combined. Use keywords like and or. So this is again where they're using actual keywords for this, whereas what I'm used to seeing would be a double and symbol. So if y is greater than 0, and x is greater than 0, and z is greater than 0, then return 5, which is that pink color. So they should just be entirely in the like upper right diagonal quadrant. Oh boy, a grid. ABS can be used to return the absolute value. So this is just a function. So you're taking x and you're passing it into the function. So as far as code goes, it's effectively taking whatever at runtime, when it sees this whole thing, it sees ABS of x. Whatever the x currently happens to be, it runs this ABS function, which just takes the absolute value of something, in this case, the x that we're giving it, and then returns that. When you return the value, it effectively just replaces this with what we returned. So ABS of x is just going to be whatever the absolute value of x is. An absolute value is just a number without the negative. The absolute value of 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 5 is 5. The absolute value of negative 3 is 3. It's just removes the negative. I think by definition, it's technically not that, but that's functionally what it is. So if the absolute value of x is equal to 2, that means if we plug in, that means when x is 2 and when x is negative 2, and the absolute value of z is less than or equal to 1. Z is going to be our depth, so what they're doing is grabbing the middle 3. So this is going to be 1, 0, and negative 1. So the absolute value of Z, when it's less than or equal to 1, will be 1, 0, and negative 1. So that gets us just the middle 3. And that's of x equal to 2. So that's going to be x is equal to negative 2. X is equal to I've got to turn around. X is equal to positive 2. X is equal to negative 2. So we get all of those. So this top line here just draws these two vertical columns. And then we kind of just do the same thing for y values here. If the absolute value of y is equal to 2, so that's going to be y equals 2 and y equals negative 2, and absolute value of z is less than or equal to 1, that makes sure it's only 3 deep, return white. And that gives us that. So importance of AND. Remember, you need to close each if-then with an AND keyword. Try running the code and check the error message for a hint what's wrong. Condition pattern, if condition, then code to execute if condition is true, AND. It's like putting brackets around something. Just to help me do things that are more familiar with me, it would be nice if I could go into the documentation and, like, say, hey, can you replace the then keyword with, like, an open bracket? Oh wow, it actually gave me open and close brackets. Are you gonna let me do that? It doesn't say it's... Oh, error. They're not going to let me do it. Yeah, programmatically it's defined as x squared raised to the 1/2 power, which is effectively the square root of a square number, of a number squared. The square root of a square, which is just the raw number, but that operation removes the negative. Because squaring something removes the negative. I think as far as definition of absolute value goes, it is the distance on the number line to 0. Effectively, it is the size of the value. It's like -2 is still 2 to 0. It is still of size 2. It's just size 2 in the negative direction. Okay, so if y is equal to 0, or x is equal to 0, or z is equal to 0, then return white, end that process. That alone gets us this big cross grid in the middle. And then the remaining 4 cubes, we have to do each one individually. But that's relatively simple in that if x is greater than 1, and y is greater than 1, and z is greater than 1, that's up here. Now these cubes are relatively small, it just goes from +4 to -4. Given the condition of this though, technically this cube would just extend out infinitely. If we weren't limited to like this cube here. So that's just, they do have one of these. So this is all positive, 2 negative, 1 positive, a different 2 negative and 1 positive, a different 2 negative and 1 positive. And they don't actually do all negative, that would be this one down here. And then we're also not doing these two up here, because if we wanted to do all of them, that would be 8 total. That's all positive, all negative, and then for combinations, if you know binary, for combinations of 3 things, that gets you up to 6 total. That's how my brain handles it anyway. Simple sushi. Oh boy, sushi. Sushi? So, if x is equal to 0, and y is equal to 0, return 7. So 7 is red, so that just gets us this one in the middle. Now we also have this else in here. How do I limit this? Return 1 is the white. Is this just a 5x5 cube? It says end return 11, but I think I could have done else return 11. Can I just do else? Oh, I have to do that. I see. Else. Yes, that one. Yeah, so I can't do that. So else if that, else that. And then end our whole loop. So we could have done that. This has to just be a 5x5. Because I don't have any bounds for anything bigger than that. This may have been like one of the first ones that they just said, here, have fun, figure out how to make this. A cup. It's a cup. Yeah, I think they just let us write at this point. They said, hey, here, make this. Ah, so this was interesting. So what I did to do this, instead of making the walls, I effectively just made a whole cube and then cut the middle out of it. So if y is greater than -2, which is the bottom row, or greater than or equal to -2, which is the bottom row, so that's going to be everything above the bottom, and the absolute value of x is less than or equal to 2, so this is -2 to 2. Less than or equal to 2 is going to be that space in the middle, and absolute value of z is less than or equal to 2, which is going to be, we turn it on its side, now it's going to be these in the middle. Then return empty. So if it's in the middle here, return empty. If it's not in the middle there, then it will get out of this and just return 15, which is our light brown. Quadrants. Don't forget you can put conditions inside other conditions. So I have here, if y is greater than 0, so that's going to be this top row. Is this Python? I think it's Lua. Which I'm not particularly familiar with. Lua's kind of like Python. I'd believe that. So if y is greater than 0, so now we're dealing with this top, then, and then I just make another if statement here. If x is greater than or equal to 1, then return 11, which is that green. Else, return 8, which is this. And then we can end, which will end this if statement, and bring us back to this one. So we did that. If we're not doing that, then we're on the bottom. So else, we are on the bottom, because that's the else. So if z is greater than or equal to 1, so that's right here, 1, 2, 3, so that's just all right here, then return 13, which is that blue, else return 7, which is this back here. I don't like this syntax. That's a little more readable. Fun looking X. You can create your own variables for more complex logic. Here we are creating a new variable called color, which we manipulate across multiple if statements, and then finally return at the end as the final voxel color. So color equals empty. So you don't have to declare a type. You just set it equal to something. And this is the importance of a distinction between a single equal sign and two equal signs. Two equal signs means is equal to. If x is equal to y, this is a comparator. A single equal sign is an assignment operator, not a comparator. This is color is being made equal to empty. Color is now equal to empty. I do not know if this will throw an error. if I try to use, like it down here, let's find out. Ah, it is actually throwing an error. Good. Okay, at least it's throwing an error for that. Technically, an assignment operator is kind of like a function in that it does its thing and returns a value. And typically what it does is return a Boolean, which is to say it returns true if successful and false if not. So if you say if x 1 equal y, then what it would do is say, well, we have successfully set x equal to y, so this will just always be true. This at least throws an error, though. Like, it kind of figures that's not a thing that you would want to do, typically. So if x is equal to y, then the color is equal to pink. It's right over here. Watch out for typos. Here we spelled color differently, which ends up making a new variable instead of modifying color as we intended. This is probably like color here or something. If x is equal to negative y, that would be this line right here, then color equals yellow. If z is equal to 0, that's black. Well, that's just this line right here in the middle. Here's another example. The error when you run this code says attempt to perform arithmetic on a nil value, which is kind of confusing. It's because colo doesn't exist, so it is considered nil, a nothing value. Oh, so this was probably colo. Like that. No. Because that's just making a new variable called colo and setting it equal to color. It'd be like this. And it's going like, hey, we don't know what colo is. Can Replicube run Doom? You know, probably. And then, just using the examples up here, you may be wondering, kinda what's the point of using a variable for this? Because you could just go return pink, return yellow, return black, and that's all you need to do. This down here is where it actually comes in handy. Because we set the colors for the front, how did we make the back a different color? Well, if z is less than 0, so that's these back here, and color is greater than 0, so we're actually doing something with the color and it's not the empty space, then just set color to color plus 1. So just increment the color. So this pink becomes whatever is 1 above pink, which is this purple. And this yellow becomes 1 above yellow, which is this green. And then we return color. That's the variable outcomes. Okay, so, intro challenge. I'm going to erase that before I can look at it too much. And now we're going to actually look at what's going on here. This one might take some thinking to solve elegantly. It's kind of neat that it actually gives you the coordinates. So this is just x and y. Oh, I have to put then. Nope, I got it backwards. Okay, I had this turned around from where I thought it was. Okay, so x is equal to 3, y is negative. Hey! Let's erase the code and see what we can do about this one. Okay, so positive x, positive y. So it's another staircase, but it's also cut that way. It's a positive staircase. Oh, are they not going to let me do that? Hey! Okay, so positive x, positive y, so it's an x from the front and an x from the top. So I think this is just if... Hey! So for this one, I can use absolute value to get the positive or negative, which will let us do the thing in either direction. Hello, modulo. Oh boy, modulos. You can use the percent symbol to return the remainder of a division operation. For example, 5 modulus 2 means return the remainder after dividing 5 by 2, which would be 1. Below, we can see we divide the y-coordinate by 3 and then use the remainder as the color for that row. Taking the remainder of a division by 3 can only return numbers 0, 1, and 2, so it turns a number line like this into this. I don't know what they're talking about here in the end. I think that's what the code looked like before. Let me see if I can replicate what they did before. Below you can see we divide the y-coordinate by 3, so that's probably y modulus 3. And then use the remainder as the color for that row. So that's probably what it was to start. Yeah, and I think that's a 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2. Yeah, so that's what it was doing at the start. So modulus is weird because I want to say modulus is something that may be a little bit hard to wrap your head around. But I feel like we used it's effectively the remainder after division. It just gets the remainder after division, and I feel like we use that a lot more in, like, much younger math classes. And then once we moved to more advanced math, everybody kind of forgot about the modulus, and then you get into programming, and it's like, oh man, that modulus, that is some good crap. But it's just a remainder. So if you have, say, 5 divided by 4, well, 4 goes into it once, and then we have 1 left over. So 5 divided by 4 is 1 with a remainder of 1. 5 modulus 4 is just that remainder, so 5 modulus 4 is just 1. 10 divided by 3. Well, 3 goes into 10 3 times. And then there's 1 left over. So 10 divided by 3 is 3 with a remainder of 1. So 10 modulus 3 is just the remainder. So it's just 1. 11 modulus 3 would be 2. And 12 modulus 3, because 3 goes into 12 evenly, would be 0. So what we're initially doing here is just taking y modulus 3. Well, we start at -6 as the y value. -6 divided by 3, well, it goes in evenly. There's no remainder, so that's 0. -5 modulus 3 is... Where can I type this? How are they doing that with negatives? I mean, they get 1 remainder. So -5 modulus 3, it goes in once. But then it has a remainder of -2, and you can't have a negative remainder. So we actually have to, like, overshoot it and then count up to it. So it's -5 modulus 3 effectively says 3 goes into it twice, which brings it to -6, and then has a remainder of +1, bringing it back up to -5. That's kinda weird. That's kinda weird. Makes a little more sense once you get up into the positives. So 3 divided by 3 is... 3 goes into 3 evenly, so there's no remainder. 2 divided by 3, that has a remainder of 2, because it's not hitting all the way to 3, so it just has a remainder of 2, so that's 2 here. 1 divided by 3 is just remainder 1. Once you get up here to 4, that is also remainder 1, because 3 goes into 4 once, but then has 1 left over, so that's our 1. So that's modulus. So this is what they started us with, so we can very easily do something similar up top. Instead of doing a modulus 3, we just do a modulus 2 on the x-coordinate instead of the y-coordinate. Oh dear, I'm off by 1. Can I go... Hey! Sometimes you just plug numbers in until something works. Okay, so modulo checkerboard. Pretty sure this is related to modulo. Basically, we want to know if x is even and z is even. Yeah, because that's our x and z right there. So we can start very easily with a... Okay, so if y is not 0, then return 0. That should blank out everything on the top and bottom, because all we want is if y is 0. And then we can start making some new code to get a checkerboard. So you can get even or odd by taking modulus 2 on something. Because then it's just going to alternate back and forth between 0 and 1. So let's go... Okay. We're getting there. Okay, we're getting there. Yeah, getting these in the middle is a little different. I would like to get all of these in one go, then so I can just put an else make black. Yeah, so I can just do that. So I gotta figure out how to get these. Oh, those, it's just when the modulus are the same. I don't care if it's even. Hey. So this is a really simple code, so I'm not like formatting the code in a readable way. There, slightly more readable code, instead of me typing it all out on one line. I guess checkerboard. Angled rainbow. So it's x to 3, y to 3. So this is... Well, hello, Ghidorah, and I appreciate it. Wark! Okay, so the numbers are if we add them together, the numbers are the same. So this is -3 and -3 is going to be -6. -3, -2 is going to be -5. -4, -3. -2. -1, 0. So I think I can just go... Yeah, easy. It does need to be that, though. So this is... Hey! Okay, so we got our positive x, positive y here. So this one should be relatively easy. Now, see, the fun thing about this is if you want to write very extensive code, it's very easy to do all of these. Because you can just write if x is equal to -3, and y is -3, and z is equal to -3, return 0. And then bump one of the variables above. And just individually dictate every single voxel. Granted, this is going to be 7 by 7 by 7, which is 49 times 7, which is like 350 lines of code. But you can do that. The goal is to do it a little more elegantly than that. Okay, so this one should be easy. If y is equal to 1, then in return, that looks like 15. So that's the top of the table. Now we have to put in the legs. So that is... x is... So absolute value of x equals 2. Okay, getting close, getting closer. Our legs are a little long. Hey! Cap our top off a little bit. Okay, that was the wooden table. So as soon as you complete these... So that was all of those. So we went through the tutorial, went through the intro challenges. As soon as you complete these, you are... Welcome to the community. Okay, as soon as you complete the tutorial, that's when you're given these, which are the intro challenges. That's the ones we just did. Excited to see a new player join the community. Gonna finish the tutorial. Here are a few more puzzles to try out next. Don't forget to sign up for a CubeNet account if you haven't already. CubeNet accounts are used for the leaderboards and even more importantly, community discussion forums. You can do that. You can go up here and go in the CubeNet thing, and there's like forums or something. I have not done it. Once you complete these, you unlock the puzzle of the week. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, new puzzle is released. Check the new puzzles of the week section, file manager for the latest puzzle. Latest puzzle is always the active puzzle, and the leaderboards have that puzzle alive. So the goal in doing these is the shortest code possible. Or just to make it as a challenge. Go have fun. So that's this up here. Okay, so a lot are archived, but we do have this one up here. Hard. Oh my goodness, you weren't kidding. You weren't kidding. So distance to... So they got functions. We're doing fancy stuff. Yeah, this is literally just a function. They gave us a function to draw a 3D capsule. You want some math, by the way. This is some good math. So I was going to be I was studying to be a high school math teacher at one point. And I was always the most excited about geometry. Because geometry is very visual. Like, the more abstract the math gets, kind of the less interested that I am in it. But like when I can hook a visual to this stuff, this is neat stuff. Okay, so what they do, yeah, they have one endpoint, another endpoint, and then the radius of it, and it kind of fills that in. So we have one endpoint kind of way up here, another endpoint way down here, and then it makes it kind of thick. Looks like it would have a thickness of, I don't know, 4? We can check. 4.5. Yep, 3. So 3, 3 to 3, 3. A radius of 4.5. That feels weird. It's 5. Chonky. What's 4? Oh, it's just like, just barely a 4. So 4.5 makes it just a little chunkier. Okay, so instead of 3, 3, 3, this is going to be x, y. Let's go 0. 0. I'm willing to bet any number under 5 is not going to make that 5th voxel. Yeah. It gets very chunky, but it's not quite out yet. 4.5 is a good level of chunk. So let's look at this math. This is going to be fun. So they declare 3 new variables, dx, dy, dz. And they use these just to get the distance between them. Because we have the left coordinate and the right coordinate. This will be easier if I go down here and go x, y, z. So we just have a capsule. Actually, let's lower this to like 2. So it's a little bit easier to see what's going on with this. Because so we give it coordinates. So we gave it this coordinate, -3, 2, and we gave it this coordinate, 3, 2. But we want to know how big the line segment is going to be. So we need to know the distance between them. Not just the coordinates, but how far it's going to be. So this is -3 and +3. So if we subtract -3 from +3, that will tell us how long this segment will be. You can kind of think of it visually as what, like taking the whole segment here and removing this empty space over here, so you're just counting up from there. Or in this case, since this is 0 right here in the middle, kind of adding a little bit to this back end so that it's just counting straight up from 0. But that is very simple. We take this number and we subtract this number. Now 3 minus -3, remember, if you subtract a negative number, that is addition. So 3 minus -3 is 3 plus 3. So that's going to be 6. And then it does it for the other directions as well. So we know that would be 6. In our case, this is going to be 0 and 0 because I got rid of the height and width. Length of the line segment. Square root. Yeah, this is just a distance formula. How easily can I explain this one? Let me wrap my head around it first. Oh, it's just a squared plus b squared plus c squared. The square root of a squared plus b squared plus c squared. That's just a length formula. I'm not really going to explain that one, just know that that's the length formula. Okay, divide, so now dx, dy, and dz is a unit vector in the direction of the line segment. Yeah, so since we're dividing by length, we have a line, or we have effectively a line. This is all just vector math, yeah. So we effectively found the distance of the, like the length of the line. We are, in getting the length of the line, or the length of the line in the three directions, we have effectively found both endpoints of a straight line between the origin and how far we need to go in the direction that we're going to be making this thing. So once we get length and then we divide by length, that now gets us a unit vector. So a unit vector, this is a line of length 1, pointing in the direction that you want your shape to point in. So I'm going to go back down here and I'm going to add in some more stuff again. So we know that it's going in this direction, so we're now going to have a unit vector pointing in that direction. So now what are we doing next? What are we doing next? PXPYPZ is A to current voxel. So we do have to draw this thing, so we're probably going to have to go through some kind of big fancy loop. And by loop, I mean technically this is a giant loop, and it does it for every single coordinate in here. This is just a big loop that runs 350 times. Actually, in this situation, it runs 8 times that. Whatever. And this is why you want to minimize your code. You can write 350 lines of code to do that, but it's running 350 lines of code every frame. This shape is 8 times that. If we did this the long way, it would then be doing 350 lines of code times 8 every frame. Minimize your code so it doesn't have to go through. That'd be like 3,000, very rough guess. About 3,000 lines of code every tick. Just to do something that could be done in 10. Okay, A to current voxel. So AX, I think, was your starting endpoint. And then wherever X is currently. So distance to current voxel. Project P onto the line segment with a dot product. Oh boy. It has been a while since I have done any of this math. $2,800. I was close. I guessed 3,000. And it's doing that for every voxel here. So if you want to run 3,000 lines of code, 3,000 times every frame. Anybody know what 3,000 cubed is? Don't write code like that. Yeah, 27 billion. Yeah, don't write code like that. Okay, I'm kind of skimming the rest of this because this is getting into higher level math. Yeah, so it effectively draws a line segment between the 2 points, and then checks the distance from that line segment. And if it is within that distance from the line segment, then it colors it. Oh, and it's returning a comparator, which will always be either 1 or 0. That's why it's white. Because it's returning 1, which is true. You could change the color if you wanted. Pretty easily, I think. You would just have to add another, variable for color. And then up here you would have to add a color on the function. And then down here you would just go, if distance is less than or equal to radius, return color. But for our purposes, white is fine because Baba is white. Okay, so this is y equals 1, so this is, or y is 0, so let's go 0, 0. And that looks like it's going to be -3 to +3. Yeah, so -3 to +3. And I think z is also 0. So that's fine. Then we just need, this is going to be a distance of 4. Something. Okay, cool, we did it. Now we can do the rest of that with more line segments. But I've got to figure out how to call them. Because we have to return this. How do you do that? Okay, so what I can do, I hate doing this. Why is that not working? Well, I don't need to run this again. I can just return 1. Because I know it's equal to 1. Is 1 defined as true? It should be. It's weird. It should be, because you can plug true into a color and it knows to make it white. But it doesn't know true is 1? despite that colors are numbers. Okay, now we can just make another one. So this is -5. -6. Two. I do not know where the other end of this is going to be. Can I get away with just using this coordinate? I think I can. So this is -4, -4, two. And that's all got a distance of 1. It's 1 something. Is it 1.5? It's not by 1 dumb voxel. Okay, 0.5 looks correct. But that, I think, means the end point that I made is not correct. But what else would you do? No, and even right there, it's not doing it correctly anymore. Like I have to pick. Oh. We got it! Okay, so this is going to be the same thing, just with a z of -2. So, -2, -2, bam. 2 leg. I want to be able to do 2 and -2. Do I have to call the function twice? What happens if I put an absolute value in here? Ooh! Oh, I put it around the wrong one. No, that doesn't work. So I can't put it directly in the function. I figured that would mess up some math. I didn't think I could put it directly into the function. Worth a shot. This would be... I'd love to just mirror this over, though. But how are we gonna do that? If we were going to do this, we would have to do it inside the capsule function. And I'm not sure I want to mess with the capsule function. Yeah, admittedly, like, I would like to do this more. I would like to do this more. But the alternative, I think, is going to be... When they grade based on amount of code, I feel like just calling the function a handful more times isn't the worst thing. Because I'm thinking, like, do I need 2 different capsule functions? Do I need extra conditionals within the capsule? Because I gotta do the ears, too. I could, like, pass another variable into the function. That if it's one way, then you gotta mirror it, but then I gotta put conditionals all over the place for that. I think it'd be easier just to call the function 3 more times. Oh, it's ugly and I don't like it, but we're just gonna call the function 3 more times. Okay, so x becomes... Yeah, I think that's all I need to do. Okay, then we gotta do the ears. So for the ear... It's kind of the same thing, just mirrored upwards. So let's take this one and mirror our Y. And then we need to shift our X. That's at 5, it needs to go to -2. So 5, 6, 7, so we need to move that, our x7. So this is 5 to -2. And 3.6 becomes... -4? No, -3. Not quite. Close. This cube. Which means we have to make it more positive. Hey. Yep, think we're good. Okay, now we just need one more of these. With the Z flipped. Front of the ears off. Bugger all, it is. There's another voxel down there. Yeah, we're just missing one voxel, like right here. Okay, what if... No, I don't want to do that. Crap, how do you get a voxel there? Okay, what if I go negative 433? Oh, that's the stuff right there. That's the juice. Which probably means instead of doing this weird, like, 366 stuff, it's probably the same shape, it just needed to be done down here. Which I think means it moved, like, in one and probably up one? Yeah, because I think I just did it to here. Yeah, when it needs to be to here. Do I heck with that? Yeah, I heck with that. Because it bothers me. So that's a negative 3, negative 3. Yeah, perfect. So this is also negative 3, negative 3. This side is going to be 3, negative 3. Yeah, it looks accurate. Is there like a button? Show comparison. We good, we just need them eyeballs. Okay, so then what is that? X is equal to -6. Y is 1 or 2. Okay, I think we got it. This just can't be in an else if. This needs to be at the top. Hey! Okay, so here's a thought. Can I do... Ooh, I can. This makes a little bit more sense to me, I think. Yeah, so they gave us that giant capsule function, and then with a handful of capsules, we have made Baba. there's a chance that we could do this with less code if we modified the capsule function. But I don't feel like it. I did it. Now, I think I have to log in to see other scores. Yeah. Well, that was right fun. Can we see some of the other ones? So this was the previous one. You don't have to heck with a capsule function in this one. That's a little cutie, though. What the crap? T? You can make animations? What the crap? Stop that! This instant, young man. That one could be kind of fun. No. You cut that right out. Also, bubble sort, best sort. That's like a super easy one. Be nice if we could see inside, though. Like, maybe there's something inside that... I can't zoom in anymore. Like, maybe there's something inside that actually matters. It actually looks like it's hollow. Neat. Yeah, documentation. No, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh, that one's neat. Ooh! Ooh. I like how some of these give you a little, like, start or something to go by. Like, they give you some information like this. Pyramid. It's just a pyramid. Just a pyramid. I do kind of wish I could look inside. Hide a pharaoh inside of that pyramid. What? No, stop. Cut that out. Especially when you're thinking of, like, leaderboards, I feel like the simpler ones, you think, like, oh, that wouldn't be that bad to make. Look at that, it's just a hat. A, it's hollow. But I think it also becomes much more of a challenge of minimizing code. It's like, making it isn't the challenge. Making it with very small code is. Okay, so... Anyway. So after... Now that we're done with Baba... The same time you get the puzzle of the week, you also get an email from Alice. Who says, hey, I'm not necessarily big into, like, super high-end stuff, but I made some cute little things. Give them a try. And so these are the last ones that I was playing before I kind of took a break for the minute. So, strawberry cake slice. I have made this one. Yeah, it is important to know when you hit return, it does not care what happens in the code after that. Which means that was why I had to put the code for the eyes on Baba at the top instead of at the bottom. Because it was a matter of priority. It was drawing the... It was drawing the cylinder, tube, whatever. It was drawing that and then returning. when I needed the eyes to override that. Okay, so we can do an easy one here if absolute value of z is greater than 1, then return 0, end. So that'll now ensure that all we have to do is worry about making the cake part of this. If y is equal to -3, then turn 15. Can do one line of code for all the white. Hey. So I was thinking of this one in terms of priorities. The brown goes all the way across, so I made that one top priority. That way, when I made the white, I could just tell the white to go all the way down to the bottom, and it would do this because I did brown first and brown was priority. Same thing with the pink in the middle. Since I'd already done white, I can just tell white to go all the way across, and we're good. And then once I'd done all these shapes, I don't have to do anything complicated with the pink in the middle. I can just go, yo, everything else is that. Okay, first try making an hourglass shape. Alright, you can use inequalities. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Can I show what defines the size? Not... I think it was in documentation. Oh, I didn't see what limited to 3 on the z-axis. I just had a line at the very start I wrote that said, if the absolute value of z is greater than 1, return 0. Okay, so what do we got here? This is... So we don't really care about Z. So this looks like... Okay. Not actually what I was trying to do, but... I'll take it for now. So I could do this just with one more line of code. But can I do it all in one line? Yes. Yes, I can. Man, I don't know what I wrote before, but that was significantly easier than whatever it is that I wrote before. It's a tiny duck. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. So I think this is going to be minimum 5 different lines of code. They're kind of all over the place too. I would be content with 5 lines of code. So priority-wise, first line of code I think is going to be its underbelly. Easy. Okay, next priority is going to be the green. That goes all the way to the top, doesn't it? Yeah, so I don't even need to worry about the top bound. That isn't right. There we go. Okay, next priority is going to be... I don't think it matters at this point. Okay, now for the slightly more complicated one. Oop! Chunky duck! Okay, how do we make our duck slightly less chunky? Quack, quack. I could do it in I could do it in 2 lines of code. But I'd like to do it in 1. Kinda. I mean, I can just keep putting conditionals in here. Or I could just draw two shapes. I feel like I should be able to make a plus sign. I should be able to make a plus sign with one shape. Hey! Okay, so that's all that I've actually done, though Baba is also something that I've never done before. So let's take a look at these. This is going to be a new one. Okay, so an easy one to start is... we make a the wall. We make it the stair. So we just have to get the other side flipped. I don't see an easy way. I mean, there's some creative stuff that I was thinking about doing, but I don't think anything is going to compare to just being able to do that. Like, there was some fancy stuff that I think we saw before, but I can just do that. Little chair. Oh, it's a little chair. Look at that little chair. Okay, I can put this line up front, and now I don't even have to worry about, like, anything outside of this. It will only work in this middle 3 section. So, easy solutions from here are... Okay, I also have to do X. There we go. So I can mirror left to right on X with absolute value, and I may need to do that for the back. I was thinking I could do all 4 bottom legs at the same time, but, like, if I'm doing this, I might as well just do this too. That's just changing a variable and it gets them. So I guess I'll just do these front 2 legs. Chair. Oh, that's -1. Tall chair. And I could try to do something real complicated to try to get the front ones in the same as the back one. But not only am I not confident that it's possible, but also it's too easy to just do this. And then I cannot think of an easy way to get that 1 point up top. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I have this to return 0. So now I can put this line in. And then here I can do... No, I'm not done yet. I can make the code smaller. There we go. Yeah, make the whole back section as a wall. That's sculptor thinking. Do I actually need this line? Whoa! The answer is yes. Okay, well, I could maybe fight and get that smaller, but I'm good with that. A strawberry. Look at that strawberry. Oh, you can peek inside objects. Oh! Now I want to go back and look at some of those daily ones. Now that I figured out you can do this. Okay, so this shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, now our insides are pink. Gotta put our our points on it, I did notice they are the same front and back, so you can just do a line all the way through. The bottom, I feel like, is too different. So I'm just going to have to make all of these individually. Oh. Can I absolute value that shenanigan? Yes. Oh, but no, I can't. Hey. Okay, we got that one. Gotta get the bottom. I can't think of an easy way to get this one. That ain't right. Nah, there's just too much picking and choosing. It's frustrating. Okay, just gotta get the front. Or gotta get the green top. Now, the green top, I think we can kind of just do back at the very start. There's a way to do this in one line of code. Is that 11? It's 11. Yeah! Eat it, game. Eat it, strawberry. It's delicious. Oh, I kind of wish I could make some of these dots take up less code. But I just don't think I can. How's Barry doing these days? Barry's doing well. She's designing some stickers and stuff right now. And she is currently prepping for a completely different booth setup for a convention. Yeah, man, I just cannot think how to make these dots take up less code. Yeah, if I didn't have to actually register for that, I would love to look at the code that other people have done for these, because I'm sure they got it to look stupid. But we did it! We did the strawberries. Ooh, and we got more emails. Email. Thank you for showing so much interest in Replicube. In order to create your own objects, you need to activate the voxel app in free edit mode. There's just a script that should unlock it for you. Just open the Replicube app from the launcher at the top of the screen to open it in free edit mode. So this is gonna, like, install a thing? Yeah! So now we can make our own! Yeah, and that's what I thought, T variable to make use of time. You just have to turn animation on. I don't know how to do that. Oh, here we are. Yeah, so you can make it animated here. And then you can use T to adjust that. Number of frames and everything. So this, it does look like you have to actually write code to make this. I was thinking maybe it would be just a little drawing program or something, and you could just draw whatever you wanted to draw. Because, like, technically you can code in anything. Maybe it takes an absurd amount of code to do, but you can. But maybe... So I thought maybe it would be a fun puzzle to, like, be able to just draw something, and then someone else has to figure out the code. But I guess that it does prevent some abuse if you have to code something yourself first. Like, yeah, maybe you can make it, and maybe somebody else can make it more efficiently. Neat! So we can make our own! We're back? We're back? We're back? I don't know what happened. Well, if I'm back, then we're still all good. Doggo. Well, as I was about to say, it is getting kind of late, and we have been going for a little while, so I think I'm going to take a look at what these next ones are. Fancy hourglass. Take a look at what these next ones are, and then probably close up shop. Not a flower. Well, what is it then? Ooh. It's hollow inside. Oh, it's a little. This is the computer from the page. This, you can see this one on the Steam page. I'm playing Pong. Got some big old chunky keys. That's an adorable little computer. Okay. Oh, I wanted to go into Puzzles of the Week. Post box. Wanted to see inside the post box. It is hollow. Aside from that one line. Oh, treasure chest. Is there anything inside the treasure chest? A bunch of silver coins! Just a pyramid. It's not a mimic. Maybe the mimic was mimicking the coins. Oh, that's another animated one. Oh, it's hollow. You cut that out this instant, young man. What's inside the planet? Why is there a random brown? It's got a core. Dude made a core inside his planet. Oh, look at it waving. Moon phases just sounds neat. Oh, you're hurting my brain. Oh, you're hurting my brain. Man, why are you people allowed to do this? What are you playing? Oh, there it goes. He be zooming. Oh. Okay, I think we've had enough TV for today. I'm going to get some sleep. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Good night, everybody.